Hello there, I'm James Pegler, and this is Australia. And whilst you're battling to control your quite natural excitement at this information, I'll go on. It's the middle of summer, and this is the Australian Christmas season. Now, many Australians, quite apart from folk overseas, would not be aware of the fact that we have our very own Christmas carols. They were written several years ago by John Wheeler and William G. James, who themselves were born in Australia. And we're going to present a selection of these songs for you, and at the same time, just to prove how versatile we are, we're going to take you to some of the places that are described, areas that many Australians would not get to see, and places that our friends overseas will find fascinating. It would be difficult to overstate the importance of the rural industry to this country. The man on the land has and continues to play a vital role in its development, unlike the 50,000 blowflies which seem to have discovered us here. Anyway, all this has presented a problem in the minds of people trying to picture a typical Australian. For many years, he was supposed to be tall, lean, sun-tanned, and rode a horse as if it was part of him, and spent a good bit of his time riding off into sunsets. However, the vast majority of the population live in the major cities, regard with a degree of suspicion both ends of a horse, and show a considerable lack of enthusiasm for riding off into sunsets. Wheeler and James wrote mainly about the countryside and the isolated areas of the outback. My own family have been involved with the land for generations, and in my own case, before I became a singer, I spent many years, a lot of that time, on the back of a horse, on properties, mustering sheep and rounding up mobs of cattle.
Come in, Ned.
Across the plains one Christmas night we drove us riding blithe and gay. Looked up and saw a starry light more radiant than the Milky Way. And on their hearts such wonder fell, they sang with joy, Noel, Noel, Noel. The air was dry with summer heat, and smoke was on the yellow moon. But from the heavens, faint and sweet, came floating down a wondrous tune. And as they heard, they sang full well those drovers three, Noel, Noel, Noel. The black swans flew across the sky, the wild dog called across the plain. The starry lustre blazed on high, still echoed on the heavenly strain. And still they sang Noel, Noel, those drovers three, Noel, Noel.
This land of ours is immense, and although geologically speaking it's one of the oldest continents in the world, from the point of view of development it's just a youngster. It ranges from the lush beauty of the coastal regions to the harsh beauty of the inland. Harsh it may be, but it rarely fails to impress folk with its grandeur. The contrasts are enormous. Rainforests to deserts, magnificent surfing beaches to snowfields that are more extensive than those of Switzerland. And the bird and animal life in vast profusion and almost all unique to this country. And the best time to be aware of this is at daybreak.
The broncs are dancing, lifting their feet like horses prancing. Up to the sun the woodlarks go wing, in the dawnlight echo tree ferns grow by the river, there where the waters sparkle and quiver. Even the gullies' bellbirds are chiming, softly and sweetly their lyric notes rhyming. Orana, orana, orana to Christmas Day. Sip the nectar of flowers, currawongs chant in wattle tree bowers. In the blue ranges, larder keeps calling, carols of bush birds rising and falling. Orana, orana, orana to Christmas Day. The north wind is tossing the leaves, the red dust is over the town, the sparrows are underneath, and the grass in the paddock is brown. As we lift up our voices and sing to the Christ child, the heavenly King. The north wind is tossing the leaves, the red dust is over the town, the sparrows are underneath, and the grass in the paddock is brown. As we lift up our voices and sing to the Christ child, the heavenly King. Christmas bush together. Christ is born, the angels thunder. Through the heavens their tale of wonder, while we clap for his adorning. Christmas bush this hallowed morning. Christ has conquered evil's power. Hear the bells rock every tower. Birds and beasts lift up their voices. Freed at last the world rejoices. Onward with triumphant chorus, following the road before us, singing through the golden weather, gathering Christmas bush
The Australian population is mainly made up of people from British and European stock. When they came to this country several generations ago, they brought with them many of the traditions of their homelands, and high on the list was the way in which they celebrated Christmas. This included the Christmas trees, the decorations, the presents, the cards, the mistletoe, and also a great big hot Christmas dinner. Now, hot Christmas dinner is more in keeping with a Northern Hemisphere Christmas, when it's the middle of winter and it's freezing cold. In Australia, of course, it's the middle of summer and it's sweltering hot. Although it was winter when Christ was born in Bethlehem, there are many more similarities to parts of the Australian landscape than there are to most of Britain and to Europe.
Across the hills and far away, to find beyond the burning dawn the little town where Christ was born. This is no road for stumbling feet to follow through the dust and heat, but only those whose faith holds fast will find that little town at last. We'll brave the Mulga plains by day, where streams have withered all away, but when the summer night comes down, in dreams we'll see that royal town. Come, let us dare those grim domains where drought or red marauder reigns, until we find beyond the dawn the little town where Christ was born. Oh, who will come with me today to find that little town where Christ was born? babes are asleep in the town far below. They are sleeping and dreaming, each one in his bed, while the angels acclaim a boy king overhead. So Luna, my love, oh Luna, my love, the king of the world coming down from above. All the bluebirds are silent in willow tree glade, and the night heron listens in star-spangled shade, while the moon like a sentry stands guard on the hill. But below in the town all the babes slumber still. So Luna, my love, oh Luna, my love, the king of the world coming down from above. There are lights in the heavens in praise of the King. There is music triumphant and voices that sing, till at last in the town far below them it seems that the babes murmur softly and smile in their dreams. So Luna, my love, oh Luna, my love, the king of the world coming down from above. Now once again it's the time, and every steeple rings. The sun is like the great gold star that led the Eastern kings. Oh, come with me where hills are brown and Christmas bush grows wild, so we can make a Christmas crown to
We're particularly delighted to have as guests on the program the Armidale High School Choir. Before I came to Armidale for the recording of this section of the program, I was told that the choir were very talented, which is obviously true. I was also told that they were quiet, shy and retiring, which doesn't explain why their choir mistress, Wendy Huddleston, is still taking the tablets. Anyway, we're looking forward to, later in the program, another song from the choir.
As you sit by your wide open window on that most blessed night of the year, and you look at your slumbering oxen in the paddock, the wind has burnt sere. And you think of that old Christmas story of the beasts and the heavenly glory. You remember it tells how at midnight, when the bells are beginning to ring, all the oxen kneel down in their paddocks as they worship the heavenly King. All the oxen so patient and lowly, bowing down to the infant most holy, while you gaze through the bright summer moonlight, all the pasture will glimmer like gold, and you'll wait by the wide open window just to see if such wonders unfold, just to see if your oxen are kneeling when the Christmas bells all begin
Christmas is all about children. Can you remember Christmas morning as a youngster? For a start, you'd probably sleep in as late as perhaps 4 o'clock. And then you'd become aware of the Christmas stocking bulging with all sorts of interesting parcels. And you'd know that Father Christmas had been and gone, and you'd missed him yet again, even though you'd been determined to stay awake and catch him. What a remarkable man. All those presents for all those children, and he never makes a mistake. How he does it, I guess we'll never know. Yes, Christmas is all about children, but particularly it's about one special child who was born nearly 2,000 years ago, and whose birthday we celebrate in so many different ways. When some of the excitement of opening parcels was over, we'd all get ready to go to church. Now, for some, this was just a leisurely stroll around the corner, but for others of us, well, it was a long, hot, dusty drive over miles and miles of unsealed road. Still, our thoughts were the same. To give thanks for the greatest gift ever bestowed upon mankind.
Christmas Day, where'er you be, light your candles on the tree, set it up for all to see, to the Lord of light above. Night the birds in happy flight, children dance in golden light, deck the tree for their delight on this day of heavenly love. When the summer night is here, like a lantern burning clear, every window far and near, shining forth its tree of love. Glory to the heavenly name, glory to the star that came over Bethlehem like a flame, glory to the light above. Christmas Day, where'er you be, light your candles on the tree. The silver stars are in the sky, the red gold moon is riding high. Oh, sleep, my little one, sleep. Once long ago, a a gully chants under the spray. The Lord of sea and river will come with the day. Sing Gloria, sing Gloria, sing Gloria in excelsis. Sing Gloria, sing Gloria, Gloria, Gloria in excelsis. The sheep that browse in the ranges are murmuring afar. A shepherd from heavenly pastures will come with a star. Sing Gloria, sing Gloria, sing Gloria in excelsis. Sing Gloria, sing Gloria, Gloria, Gloria in When the sun's a golden rose and the magpie carols clear, you can say and I can say on the summer morning, here at last is Christmas Day, the day that Christ was born on, the day that Christ was born on. When the wandering lonely sheep find at last a shady field, you can say and I can say on the outback station, here at last is Christmas Day, the day Christ brought salvation, the day Christ brought salvation. When the ranges turn to flame and the winds like trumpets blow, you can say and I can say 7 times and 7. Here at last is Christmas Day, the day Christ came from heaven, the day Christ came from heaven. But when summer's shining moon dips a silver chalice bright, you can say and I can say joyously and merry, here at last is Christmas Day, the day Christ smiled at Mary, the day Christ smiled at Mary.
Well, we're nearing the end of our program. For those of you who, like myself, are Australian, we hope we've given you the opportunity to see more of this country of ours, of which we can be justifiably proud. For those of you who've not known a great deal about Australia, we hope that this will serve as an introduction and you'll be encouraged to discover more about it. We're not suggesting for one moment that these carols of William James and John Wheeler should take the place of the traditional Christmas carols that we've known and loved for generations. Far from it. But we do feel that we should be aware of the fact that we do have our very own, very beautiful Christmas carols set in backgrounds that we know and can relate to. Well, that's about it. All that remains is for me to thank you for your company, to trust that we'll have the opportunity to meet again, and to wish you all, each and every one of you, a very Merry Christmas.
Sun gleams bright, hearts alight, merry, merry Christmas. Bells ring out, children shout, merry, merry, merry Christmas. Sheep in fold shine like gold as the day is dawning. Riding by, stockmen cry, welcome Christmas morning. Golden day when we say Merry, Merry Christmas. In the street where we meet, Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. And with pride far and wide, all our homes adorning, earth and sky